Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is July 24th. We have about a week left before the trade deadline, and division races are starting to heat up. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. How are we doing today? It is Monday, and we have a lot to go over. Another series recap as usual, and we're going to be going over the standings and seeing, hey, which teams are pretty much out of it despite there being 2 months left of the season. All of that is being done today. I'm excited. Let's dive right on in, not waste any time, and start with the series recap. Leading us off, we've got a very important series to start things off. It's the Rays and the Oilers, both tied for first in the AL East division. They now start a 4-game set. And in the first game, the O's scored 3 runs in the 4th inning. The Rays answered in the 7th with a game-tying 2-run double. That would send us to extras, where in the 10th, Colton Cowser's sac fly scored a run for the O's. Felix Bautista locks down the saves, and the O's take the first game of 4, winning it 4-3. In the second game, Zach Eflin shoves for 7 innings as Baltimore can't get a run. Meanwhile, 2 home runs from Isaac Paredes and Jose Siri help the Rays even up the series and tie them for first in the division again. They win it 3-0. For the third game, Baltimore has a huge 4th inning where 5 runs came in to score off of 3 doubles, but the Rays are fighters and they scored 5 runs in 3 innings from the 6th to the 8th. That would tie up the game, but in the 9th, Baltimore breaks that tie with a single from Ryan O'Hearn, and it's up to Bautista again to lock up the save. The O's get the third game. They win it 6-5. And in the final game, it's Gunnar Henderson who gets off to a hot start. An RBI double in the first, and then a 2-run homer in the second for a quick 3-run lead for Baltimore, courtesy of Gunnar Henderson. Jumping to the 5th, Yanni Diaz ties his ball game with a 2-run home run, but in the next inning, the Oilers retake the lead with a Ryan O'Hearn solo shot. They add an insurance run in the 7th, and Baltimore goes into Tampa and takes 3 of 4, and now has a 2-game lead over the Rays and are in sole possession of first place in the AL East. They win it 5-3. Now we have the Mets and the Red Sox, and in the first game, the Red Sox jump out to a 3-run lead, but after 2-run home runs from Brandon Nimmo and Daniel Vogelbach, the Mets would take the lead and hold Boston as they take the opener. They win it 5-4. In the second game, Jarren Duran with a leadoff home run to start Boston's night off right. Tristan Casas would hit 2 home runs in the game. Yu Chang and Justin Turner also both hit home runs. A total of 5 Boston Red Sox home runs. They beat the Mets and even up the series. They win it 8-6. And the last game, Sunday Night Baseball, in Boston would have a nice lead after a 4-run 3rd inning, and they add on late with a Rafael Devers, his 24th homer of the year. Boston wins the game, and they take the series versus the Mets, winning it 6-1. The Royals and the Yankees, and in the first game, 5 home runs made up all the runs in the game. For the Royals, it's Michael Massey hitting 2 home runs for a total of 4 home runs. Massey, I don't know why I said Massey. Michael Massey hit 2 home runs for a total of 4 runs. The Yankees hit 3 home runs from Frankie Cordero, Billy McKinney, and Gleyber Torres for a total of 5 runs as the Yankees win the first game, taking it 5-4. In Game 2, after Nick Pratto hit a home run to tie the game too late, the Yankees' home runs from DJ LeMahieu and Giancarlo Stanton lift the Yankees once more as they win it 5-2. And for the last game, the Royals end up hitting 4 home runs in the game from Salvador Perez, Michael Massey, Freddie Fermin, and Kyle Isbell. However, it would be the Royals pitching who let them down, as 2 home runs from Gleyber Torres and Anthony Rizzo plus other runs scored in the game would let the Yankees win this game, and they get the 3-game sweep over the Royals as they win it 8-5. Now we have the Padres and the Tigers. Game 1, Juan Soto with a great game, 2 home runs in that game. And the Tigers, after being down 5, would try and mount a comeback. Home runs from Zach McKinstry and Riley Green. They end up a run short. Padres take the opener. They win it 5-4. In Game 2, Manny Machado, Ha-Sung Kim, and Luis Campusano would all hit home runs in the game. The Padres explode for 14 runs and blow out the Tigers, winning it 14-3. And for that final game, Spencer Torkelson and Andy Ibanez hit home runs for the Tigers as the Padres offense does a complete 180 and goes from 14 runs in the last game to only 1 run in this one. The Tigers avoid the sweep and beat the Padres 3-1. Now we've got the White Sox and the Twins. And in the first game, the White Sox, 2 home runs, Andrew Benintendi and Yasmani Grandal. That gets outmatched by the 4 Twins home runs from Alex Kirilloff, Byron Buxton with 2 home runs, and Ryan Jeffers. The Twins take the first game, winning it 9-4. In the second game, after being down a run in the 7th, the Twins tie the game up on a home run from Christian Vasquez, and then took the lead on a Michael A. Taylor single. The Twins take another, winning it 3-2. And for the final, Eloy Jimenez and Zach Remillard both go deep for the Sox. And for Remillard, that was his first MLB home run. Sorry if I butchered that name. The White Sox would be up 3 for the whole game as the Twins couldn't get a run until the 9th, where they got 3 runs and tied the game, sending it to extras, where after both teams scored a run in the 10th, the Twins would eventually walk it off in the 12th on a Ryan Jeffers single. The Twins get a comeback walk-off victory to sweep the White Sox. They take it 5-4. The Phillies and the Guardians. And in the first game, the Guardians would have the lead for the whole game, but the Phillies would attempt a comeback late with 2 home runs from JT Realmuto and Bryson Stott. They'll end up a run short. The Guardians win it 6-5. In Game 2, a pitcher's duel between Zach Wheeler and Tanner Beebe would keep this game quick and short with only 1 run scored on a Jose Ramirez single. The Guardians take another, winning it 1-0. And for that final game, Stephen Kwan leadoff home run to get things started, and Andres Jimenez would also go deep in the game. And yes, check your glasses all you want, but that is Bryce Harper playing first base for the first time ever. And he would make a great play on defense, because of course he would. Jumping into the 9th, the Phillies now in the lead, and it's David Fry with a home run down to the last out to tie up the game. That would send us to extras, where the Phillies score 4 runs in the 10th and win the game as they avoid the sweep, winning that last game 8-5. The Dodgers and the Rangers, the first place team in the NL West and the first place team in the AL West. Game 1, Nathaniel Lau and Corey Seager hit home runs for Texas, while Freddie Freeman goes deep for the Dodgers, who end up scoring 7 runs in the last 3 innings and beat the Rangers in the opener with the score of 11-5. Game 2, Marcus Semien hit a leadoff home run to start things off for Texas, and it was his 200th career home run. But the Dodgers put it on as Freddie Freeman would hit 2 home runs. Max Muncy and JD Martinez also go deep, as well as Johnny DeLuca, as the Dodgers blow out the Rangers, winning it 16-3. And for that final game, the Dodgers start the game off in a big way. A grand slam from Max Muncy in the first inning, but the Rangers score 8 runs in the first 4 innings, and that would be all the runs in the game as the Rangers avoid the sweep and take that last game versus LA, beating them 8-4. Now we've got the Blue Jays and the Mariners. We've seen this matchup before. First game, Danny Jansen would start the scoring, his 12th home run of the year. Mariners would tie it up, and it would stay that way until the 9th, when it was the former Blue Jay Teoscar Hernandez hitting the walk-off single to beat his former team and win it for the Mariners. They win it 3-2. Game 2, Mariners hit 3 home runs in the 3rd inning from Kyle Raleigh, Dylan Moore, and Julio. But then in the 5th, it was the Blue Jays' turn to hit 3 home runs in an inning. Kevin Kiermaier, Brandon Belt, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And that would retake the lead for the Blue Jays. Kyle Raleigh, the big dumper, hit another home run. He is now officially the Blue Jays killer. Then things are tied up at 7 in the 7th. It was Teoscar Hernandez who continues his revenge tour against his former team. A 2-run double to put the Mariners up, who hold on and win the game as they beat the Blue Jays again 9-8. And for the final game, Mike Ford crushed a 2-run shot to get the Mariners on the board. But then, Blue Jays got on the board with 2 home runs from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Brandon Belt. The game was tied in the 7th until the Jays retook the lead on a Santiago Espinal single, which would be the difference in the game as the Blue Jays win and avoid the sweep. They take it 4-3. Pirates and Angels, Game 1. G-Man Choi and Henry Davis go back-to-back off of Shohei Ohtani to get the scoring started in the game. Henry Davis would also hit a home run later on in the game. He becomes the first player ever to hit 2 home runs in a game off of Ohtani. Jack Sawinski also homered off of Ohtani, but the Pirates were not the only team to hit home runs. As for the Angels, Mike Moustakas, Zach Neto, Taylor Ward, and Trey Cabbage all would go deep for the Halos. For Cabbage, it was his first MLB home run, and it would be the Angels who got the win despite the poor start from Ohtani. They take it 8-5. In Game 2, Endy Rodriguez, one of the Pirates' new kids, he crushes his first MLB home run, as that alongside 2 other runs were enough for the Pirates as they used 5 pitchers to blank the Angels as they win it 3-0. And now for the rubber match, Game 3, it starts with Brian Reynolds, his 10th home run of the year. This game would be tied immediately after that with Shohei Ohtani's 36th home run of the year. Andrew Velasquez would go deep, as well as Luis Rengifo, who hit 2 home runs in the game. The Angels take the game and the series versus the Pirates, winning it 7-5. The Astros and the A's now, the start of a 4-game set, and after the Astros were down a run for just over half of the game, Kyle Tucker changed that with a 2-run double, and then in the 9th, Alex Bregman hit his 14th homer of the year to give the Astros an insurance run as they beat the A's in the opener of 4, winning it 3-1. Game 2, Alex Bregman, he homers again in the game, but the story was with one of his fellow teammates, Kyle Tucker, who hit not just 1 or 2, but 3 home runs in the game. The Astros take another one thanks to Kyle Tucker, winning it 6-4. Game 3, Alex Bregman, he goes yard for a 3rd straight game, but this time the A's are able to out-homer them as they hit 2 home runs from Seth Brown and the first career home run from Zach Gelof. The A's win that one 4-1. And for the 4th and final game, JJ Bleday and Yanyer Diaz trade off home runs as we would be tied for most of this game until the 9th, where Mauricio Dubon hit his 5th home run of the year. That breaks the tie and puts the Astros up. They hold Oakland. They win the game and take 3 of 4 versus the A's in the series, winning that last game 3-2. The Rockies and the Marlins, Game 1, 3 Rocky home runs from CJ Cron, Jurickson Profar, and Elias Diaz would be all they would need to beat the Marlins as they take the opener 6-1. Game 2, after being down 3, the Rockies would tie it up with 1 swing as Nolan Jones crushed a 3-run home run. And then in the 9th, Randall Grichuk delivered an RBI single to put the Rockies up as they win another game in comeback fashion. The Marlins have now lost 8 straight games in a row, losing that one 4-3. And for the final game, Brenton Doyle homers to get the scoring started in the game in the 5th for the Rockies. And after the Marlins scored 2 runs and took the lead, it would stay that way until the 9th, where Randall Grichuk again, he homers. That ties the game up and sends us to extras, where with the bases loaded, 1 out, and Luis Arias up to bat, the Rockies decide to bring the right fielder in to play the infield. And they had 5 infielders, so what does Luis Arias do? He hits it to right field where there's absolutely no one standing. He walks it off for the Marlins. They get their first win and kill that 8-game losing streak. They avoid the sweep, taking that last game at 3-2. Now we have the Giants and the Nationals. Game 1, JD Davis and Lane Thomas trade off home runs to start the game. CJ Abrams and Jock Pearson would then later trade off home runs. The difference in this game came off of 2 doubles from Michael Chavis and Joey Meneses as the Nationals win the first game 5-3. In Game 2, the Nationals explode for 6 runs in the second, including a home run from C.J. Abrams. And if that wasn't enough, they added 4 more runs in the 4th inning. They win it 10-1. And for the final game, the Nats up 5. Riley Adams, he launches a home run to make them up 6. And that would be what the Nationals needed to win. They sweep the Giants. It's the first national sweep since June of 2021. So good for the Nationals. They win it 6-1. The Braves and the Brewers, and what a series this was. Game 1, Austin Riley, he continues his hot streak of hitting home runs with another one. He joins Orlando Arcia with the home runs in the game. The Braves beat the Brewers 6-4. In the second game, Austin Riley again, another home run, a 3-run shot to start it off for the Braves. And that's his 5th straight game with a home run. However, the Brewers have a trick up their sleeve, and his name is Sal Frelick. He got the call and made his MLB debut, and what a debut it was. He went 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs and had 2 outstanding catches in right field. He would be the big reason why the Brewers would win this game 4-3. And for the final game, Travis d'Arnaud and Bryce Terang trade off homers to start this rubber match. The Brewers later on would have a lead until the 8th when Ozzie Albies launched a 3-run home run, which is the difference in the game. The Braves take the game and the series versus the Brewers, winning it 4-2. Moving along, we've got a 4-game set between the Cardinals and the Cubs, and 2 big boy home runs from Jordan Walker and Paul DeJong help lift the Cardinals past the Cubs as Steven Matz gets his first win in almost a year as the Redbirds win it 7-2. Game 2, Cody Bellinger continues to play hot baseball, and a 2-run home run by him completes the 4-run 3rd inning for the Cubs, as pitching is able to keep the Cardinals under 4 runs. The Cubs even up the series, they win it 4-3. In Game 3, Lars Nootbaar starts the game with a leadoff home run to get the Cardinals off and running. And after the Cubs tied it up, Nolan Gorman breaks that tie with his 20th home run of the year to bring back the lead for the Cardinals. Later in the 6th is Cody Bellinger, again a 2-run single. That gives the Cubs their first lead of the game, as the Cubs end up holding it and beating the Cardinals once more, winning it 8-6. And for the 4th and final game, Cody Bellinger starts this game with a 2-run home run, and then in the 3rd, the Cubs score 5 more runs and would have a 7-run lead after the first 3 innings, and that lead would carry them past the Cardinals as the Cubs battle and take 3 of 4 versus the Cardinals, winning that last game 7-2. And now lastly here, a very important series between the Diamondbacks and the Reds. Game 1, Ketel Marte starts the game off with a home run, and after a few more runs for both teams, Matt McLain would open this game up with a grand slam to make it a 6-run lead. The Diamondbacks would get 2 late home runs from Alek Thomas and Ketel Marte for his second of the game, but the D-backs come up short. The Reds take the opener, winning it 9-6. In Game 2, the Reds go back to back in the 6th inning. TJ Friedel, Matt McLain, and Jake Fraley. That would be the difference in the game. The Reds take another game of the series, winning it 4-2. And for the final game, this game starts with an Ellie De La Cruz leadoff home run. Nick Senzel would follow that home run up with one of his own later in the game. The Diamondbacks would tie the game up with a Corbin Carroll home run, and then in the 8th, 3 Reds runs come in to score. That puts them ahead, and they would hold the Diamondbacks as the Reds sweep the D-backs. They win that last game 7-3. That will wrap up our series recap. And now a look at the game of the weekend, and while there was some good games that were played, there was a great series between the Baltimore Orioles and the Tampa Bay Rays. And we're going to go to Sunday's action, where in the top of the first, Baltimore was able to get the 1-run lead Adley Rutschman, a double, drives in Gunnar Henderson. I think I read that wrong in the actual series recap. I think I said Gunnar Henderson does the double. No, Rutschman gets a double. That scores Gunnar Henderson. Top of the second, though, Gunnar Henderson launches his 16th homer of the year to make it 3-0 Baltimore. In the bottom of the fourth, the Rays get on the board. Brandon Lau grounds into a force out, but that would allow a run to score to make it 3-1. And then in the bottom of the fifth, Yandy Diaz, home run number 14, ties the game, a 2-run shot, making it 3-3. And in the top of the sixth, Ryan O'Hearn, his 8th homer of the year, put Baltimore back on top, 4-3. And then in the seventh, Anthony Santander, he singles on a line drive to right field. Colton Cowser scores. That makes it 5-3. Felix Bautista comes in, gets his 3rd save of the series, and Baltimore wins that one 5-3. That is our game of the weekend. Moving along now, we've got some baseball news. We got a quiet set of baseball news, not too much to go over. We'll start with Fred McGriff and Scott Rolen. Congrats to both those players. They're officially been elected and inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. They did that over the weekend. They did their speeches, got their plaques and everything. So congrats to both those guys. Both great players back in the days when they were playing. I thought I would just mention that in today's episode. So congrats to both Fred McGriff and Scott Rolen. Moving along now, the Braves, they're going to bolster up their bullpen. They add 2 bullpen pieces from the Rockies and from the Rangers. They trade for Pierce Johnson from the Rockies and Taylor Hearn from the Rangers. Not any big moves, but a good couple of splashes there to get the Braves into a better position. They've been kind of the best team for a while. They're first in general. Their team is very strong, but it's always important to keep adding, and they do that by getting a couple of good arms. Both names don't jump off the paper at you, but like I said, at least it's something. We've got like a week left before the trade deadline, and let's be honest, the Braves don't have too much pieces to cover. I mean, Sean Murphy's the catcher, Matt Olson's at first, Riley's at third, Orlando Arcia, shortstop, all-star, bam. Ozzie Albies second. Like the infield stocks, you got Acuna out there, you got Eddie out there. When it actually comes to the Braves team, they're very strong, so it's basically just fine-tuning some things and getting some depth, and that's what they're doing here. So good for the Braves for making those 2 moves and getting things going for them. And the last thing here to mention is Corey Seager. He's gone down to the 10-day IL, a right thumb sprain. It sucks for him. It's not going to be anything too long. It's going to be at least the 10 days, but he should be back really soon after those 10 days, maybe an extra day or 2. The only unfortunate thing for the Rangers is that this week they're playing the Houston Astros, who remain 3 games behind them, and having Corey Seager there would be very nice for them. Unfortunately, without him, they'll have to make some changes to their lineup, and when you're playing against the Astros, you really got to bring your A game. So that sucks for the Rangers. Seager will be back. He'll be healthy. It's just a short little thing, but those Astros series coming up, it's going to be a big one. If the Astros sweep the Rangers, the AL West looks a lot different, and we'll talk more about the divisions when we get to the standings check, but that's going to do it for the baseball news. Diving into the trade talks, we got a couple things to go over. First of all, we've been talking about Lucas Giolito, how he's been kind of shopped around by the White Sox. There's been talks that 2 NL West teams are very high and do want him, being the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. I could see him being a fit for both those teams. The question is, which team will get him, or if one of those teams get him, how does that play into effect? The Dodgers have a good rotation. The Diamondbacks, they need some arms. They can't be doing it forever. They just got swept by the Reds. They need some good pitching, and Lucas Giolito is a good pitcher. That would help the Diamondbacks. They're tied with the Giants right now. They're chasing down the Dodgers again for that division. And that NL wild card is real bumpy. So Diamondbacks definitely need to get a move to a starting pitcher or even 2. So we'll see what happens with them. Next up, it was talks that the Giants were very high and interested in Justin Verlander from the Mets if he waives his no trade clause. Now, Verlander has the no trade clause, so if Justin Verlander wants to stay a Met, he will stay a Met. If he wants to, say, ship me if you want, that gives the Mets the option to trade him to the Giants if so needed. So realistically, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Justin Verlander stays with the Mets, but we'll see how that goes for the rest of the week here. And the last big news here is Jonathan India. The Reds said he has been made available, which I find very interesting for a team that is, doing as well as they are, being up there with the Brewers. Jonathan India kind of was the face a little bit alongside Joey Votto. He was the 2021 Rookie of the Year winner. He's very young and a second baseman, which, let's be honest, these days, there isn't too many prime elite second basemen. Not saying Jonathan India is an elite second baseman, but he's a very good one. And for the Reds to be, saying he's available for trades, I'm interested to see in what their play is with that. But that does form the question, will we see Jonathan India get moved before the deadline? Just thought we'd mention those things. That's going to do it for our trade talk there. And now a look at our outstanding performances for the weekend. And unlike usual, it's a kind of a small list. Starting off with JP France with the Astros. 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 5 Ks. Zach Eflin with the Rays. 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 8 Ks. Tanner Beebe, 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, and 8 Ks. Zach Wheeler, 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 8 Ks. That was that pitching duel in Cleveland. Josiah Gray with the Nats, 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, and 4 Ks. Part of the reason they were able to get their first sweep since June of 2021. And lastly here, Jesus Luzardo, 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 13 Ks. Luzardo's been very good this year. He is the reason that 8-game losing streak got broken up. That is your outstanding performances. Alright, now let's take a look at the standings check, and we'll start with the AL East. The Baltimore Orioles 61-38, and the Tampa Bay Rays 61-42. So Baltimore has played 4 less games than the Rays. Those 4 extra games the Rays have played, they have lost them all, which is why Baltimore is up 2 games over them. The Oilers are 7-3 in their last 10, while the Rays are 3-7. So little reverse roles there. The Blue Jays sit in third still at 55-45, 10 games above 500. And the Red Sox and Yankees still tied together for last place at 53-47, 2 games behind the Blue Jays there. Still, 6 games above 500. A team who's 5 games above 500, it's the Twins. They're 53-48. So the Yankees in Boston are still better than the Twins, and that says all you need to say. But at least the Twins have looked better. They're 8-2 in their last 10, and are kind of, despite still being the black horse of the playoffs, that will be the playoffs. At least it's good to see them at least trying to win some ball games now. And the Guardians still in second there, 49-50, 1 game below 500, and then the Tigers, White Sox, and Royals follow suit in that order. The Twins now have a 3-game lead over the Guardians in that division. The AL West, we mentioned the Rangers still in first at 59-41 over the Astros, who are 56-44, 3 games below them there. They got a series this week, so we'll see what happens there. The Angels have been doing some pretty nice games as of late. They are back in third place in the AL West at 51-49. Just one half a game over the Mariners, who are 50-49. The Angels have played an extra game and have won that extra game, which is why they are there. Both teams are still slowly on the outside looking in. We'll see what happens with Ohtani there. Oakland at 28-74, down there at the bottom, being sad. At the East, the Braves are still in first place and most likely will be. They're going to be in first place because they're 11.5 games over the Phillies and the Marlins, who are in second and third, or well, tied for second essentially. The Phillies at 53 and 46, and the Marlins at 54 and 47. Same winning percentage, 2 extra games for the Marlins that they've won 1 and lost 1, so they are technically tied. Although Marlins are 2-8 in their last 10 and are looking backwards there. Still above the Mets though by about 6 or 7 games there at 46 and 53 for those Mets there. The NL Central, the Brewers and the Reds, after a 5-game winning streak are now only half a game back of the Brewers again. That stays close there. The Cubs have won 3 straight. They're in third place, 6.5 games back of the Brewers. And then the Cardinals, congratulations, are no longer in last place in the division. They're 44 and 56, half a game over the Pirates, who are 43 and 56. Remember the beginning of the season when the Pirates were in first for like 2 whole months? Yeah, well, now they're back in 5th, where everyone thought they would be. And, there you go. The Cubs, still the only team with a positive run differential. Pirates at negative 74, Cardinals at negative 24, the Cubs at plus 41, and then the Reds at negative 3, and the Brewers at negative 6. So, I mean, one good high-scoring game for either of those teams, and that will change that. Funny enough, though, those 2 teams face off this week again. So, yeah, fun stuff there. And then I look at the NL West. Dodgers 4 games over the Diamondbacks and the Giants, who are both tied for second at 54 and 46. All of the teams in the NL West on a losing streak. Of course, the Rockies, Padres, and Dodgers are just on a 1-game losing streak, with the Giants and the Diamondbacks, those 2 second-place teams, are more on a losing streak. The Giants have lost 5 straight, while the Diamondbacks have lost 4 straight. So they need to start winning some ball games. A matchup between those 2 teams would be very fun and exciting to watch right now, so hopefully that happens soon. I didn't really check the schedules before saying all that stuff. Baltimore's still in, so Baltimore, Rangers, and Minnesota, your 3 division leaders there. The Braves, the Dodgers, and the Brewers, your 3 division leaders there in the NL Central. I'll look at the wild card. The Rays are in first, the Astros are in second, and the Jays are in third. Boston and New York, 2 games out of them. Angels 4, Mariners 4.5, Guardians 5.5 there. Over on the NL side, the Reds are in first by half a game. The Diamondbacks and Giants are tied, and the Phillies and Marlins are half a game back there. So those are your 5 teams fighting for those 3 spots. After the Marlins, it's the Cubs, who are 5.5 games back. Padres, Mets, and Cardinals, 6 games back, 7.5 games back, 10 games back. So yeah, that is a standings check for you. One last thing I want to add here. I'm going to do something here that I'm going to call, I don't know what I'm going to call it, but basically I'm going to go over 8 teams who I think are done. Try again next year, but let's start writing off some teams here. In the AL, the first 2 teams you have to write off are the Oakland Athletics and the Kansas City Royals. I mean, what more can you say about bad? They both haven't won 30 games yet. The Royals are 25 games back of the division, 27.5 of the wild card. The A's are 28 games back of the wild card, 32 of the division. So, I mean, both those teams are pretty much done. The other team here, the White Sox, 12 games back of the division, 14.5 the wild card. It just wasn't the White Sox year like it always seems to be. And I'm also going to write off the Tigers. They're 7 games back of the division and 9.5 the wild card. So they could be surprising, but I think that the Tigers team isn't as good as we think to compete with, the teams that are. Like, no offense, we know the AL Central is a bad division, but the Twins and the Guardians have players who are good and have better teams than the Tigers. I think those 4 teams for the AL are officially written off and are done. For the NL side, let's start with the Colorado Rockies, 39 and 60, but they're 18.5 for the division, 14.5 for the wild card. I don't see a world where they have any chance of playoffs this year. Same with the Nationals, 41 and 58. They're 23.5 games back of the division, 12.5 of the wild card. I think the Nats are done. And I'm also going to write off 2 NL Central teams, the Pirates and the Cardinals. 43 and 56, 44 and 56. 10 games back of the wild card, 11 games back of the division, pretty much. Like, I think both those teams as well are, done. Low key, maybe the Cardinals aren't, but they said they were sellers. We'll see what the deadline has to say. But those 8 teams in total, I think their seasons are pretty much done. So, just want to mention that quickly here. A look at the upcoming series here. Starting it off, we have the Subway Series, the Mets at the Yankees for a good matchup there. Braves at Red Sox, Marlins at Rays, Royals at Guardians. We have the Chicago Series, Cubs at White Sox. We have the Angels at the Tigers, Mariners at the Twins, Rangers and Astros. Take a big black Sharpie and circle that series, one of the most important series of the week. Orioles and Phillies, that's a fun one there. Rockies at Nationals, talk about a snooze. Reds at Brewers, take a big black marker, circle that one. 2 major series between first and second place teams in the AL West and NL Central divisions there. Pirates at Padres, Cardinals at Diamondbacks, A's at Giants, and the Blue Jays at the Dodgers. That is going to wrap up this episode here today. We've got those 2 very fun series to look at. I cannot wait for Friday's episode. Will we have any big trades to go over? I hope so. I'm like really want to trade, something big and major. So we'll see how this week shapes and forms. But thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you guys Friday.